Welcome to Prime Life. We call it Retirement 2.0. Leave each episode with tips and new ideas to help you navigate retirement in our new age. It's your time. Make it count.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not intended as medical, investment, or financial advice. We do not sponsor or endorse any of the individuals, companies, products, or services featured on this podcast. Any statements or opinions expressed are of the individual who makes them. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Prime Life podcast. I'm Mary Crean. I'm here with my co-host, Joseph. Joseph Katz, how are you doing today?
Mary, I am great. Are you ready for your close-up today, Mary?
I may be. And I love that you just said that, because now I'm going to boot it over to you and to give you the honor of introducing our amazing guest, who I happen to know personally. Don't know all our guests in advance. This one I happen to, which is why I reached out to her. So without further ado, please, Joseph.
Thanks, Mary. I'm honored to introduce Leslie Gomez. Leslie is an award-winning photographer, best-selling author, speaker, and multifaceted force in the realms of photography, brand, strategy, and women's empowerment. As a creative entrepreneur, Leslie's mission is as vibrant as her captivating photography: to ignite the brilliance within professional and business women, guiding them to step into their full potential and shine brightly in their respective fields. Welcome to the show, Leslie. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, and let's have some fun.
Thank you for the introduction, Joseph, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be with you guys today. Well, again, my name is Leslie Gomez. I am a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a registered nurse. This is my first profession of 23 years, and I kind of evolved into a new path of life, or a new journey of life of photography that has ignited a new passion within myself to help women to show up and be their confident and authentic selves. So there.
All right, Mary seems to have a little technical problem at the moment, so I'll jump in, Leslie, with a question for you. Welcome again to the show. In your intro, it did not mention nurse. That's an interesting profession to. You said 28 years. That's something like that.
23 years.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
23 years. Well,
I'm not actively
you're not practicing nursing anymore. Yeah.
but I do have an active license, and and honestly, I will say this: being a nurse has really helped with some of the skills that I have today in my current profession as a brand photographer and a brand strategist, with nurturing people and helping people to heal. And it served as a vehicle into my current profession. Yes.
Interesting. Let's talk for a few minutes about how you went from how this world of work that you're doing applies to older adults. I mean, I think, I know lots of people, and many happen to be women, who just don't like having their pictures taken. Some people just don't like the way they look as they age. So maybe talk a little bit about that challenge and how you help people overcome it.
Well, how do I help people overcome that challenge of being in front of the camera? Typically, I work with women anywhere from 50 to 60 years old of age. And typically, that genre or age of group of women have muted themselves throughout their lives because they've had things that they had to do, raise their families. They've had adversity that they had to overcome that contributes to the mutation, right? And they often have difficulty with self-identity, right? And self-confidence and being their authentic selves. So I am very much a listener when I'm in my consultations and looking for things that I can help them improve, or looking for their strengths that I can help them improve in front of the camera. And yeah, so I listen, and then I implement, and then I tell them after. Because if you tell them before, they get a little anxiety. And so when we meet after, I tell them, hey, this is a strength of yours. This is what you've been talking about. This is what I noticed that you do well, how you move, how your body moves. So I'm a very, what do you call it, visual. I pay attention, and I'm an active listener when I'm working with clients.
So, Leslie, as I shared earlier, I've seen your work and I've seen you transform women. Like and we can, obviously we'll have your website and people can see your work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, that's what captivated me and why I reached out to you, because I just, like, I don't know how you consult when you think about colors that you kind of go over with your clients, but
Mm-hmm.
you just take these. Mostly, I see women, and I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you have men as well,
Yeah,
and
I
they
do.
just look so confident. And so when you've said, like, and I know when you and I spoke, you did talk about those individuals, for example, again, nothing wrong with corporate, but who have been in corporate and have had to mute themselves. Like maybe they were wearing a lot of like navies and grays, and, again, nothing wrong with those colors, but a lot of the photos I've seen, these individuals have put on these vibrant colors and they look super confident and they look fabulous. So what kinds of tips do you have to, I shouldn't say have to, that you want to give to these individuals so they can really show up as they are and as they want to be seen?
I would say this is hard, Mary. This is challenging because everyone is different, right? And I have to go back on the work structure and really doing the inner work of the individual first with the individual before we even hit the camera. That's the one of the most important steps of having them do the inner work where they can find the confidence. Because sometimes we are so busy, we're on that hamster wheel, we don't have time to really think about who we really are, what's important to us right now in our lives, right? And I take that conversation and help people to understand or discover, not understand, discover their authentic self, their challenges that they went through their lives who made them stronger, right? Just bringing them down that conversation and that memory lane of the challenges, the adversity, the successes, the achievement, that you are a badass. You overcame all of that. And in that conversation is where people find their strength, and with my guidance, find that it's okay to be their authentic selves, that everyone is taken. It's boring being anybody else, right? So that's the tip, is really
So listening to you, Leslie, I hear words like inner work, and I think, oh, that's like coaching, self improvement type work. Do you do that professionally, or is that sort of just part of the bigger picture? You just know a few tips and how to help people get through those processes, because I know there is trainings to become like. to pull apart. Yeah. So I just want Mary took a dig at the. Yeah, you did. I follow up. Yeah, you did. I have a comment and a follow. I think a follow up question may come out of this as well. Mary took a dig at the blue corporate clothing. So I take offense to that because I think 90% of my clothing is blue. But so
And you know it was not meant to offend anyone. It was
I
just
know.
it was just something Leslie and I had talked about, with the muted colors or just the muted self, and I can see that. And anyway, go ahead, Joseph, because I want to add. I'm going to add on to that.
Yeah. So my follow up question to you, Leslie, is when you see photography, photo shoots like on TV and the movies, there's always lots of music going and like high energy. Do you create that sort of environment? Because obviously that as well.
And we'll get that answer after a brief word from our commercial sponsors.
NASA is always working harder to be your carrier of choice. We offer insurance products that can help you meet your retirement goals, such as protecting your savings, securing lifetime income, or paying for healthcare costs. We're dedicated to providing best-in-class service and are keeping things simple, and we'll have your back. We have around 400,000 policyholders and contract holders and have been doing this for a long time, 170 years, but we remain humble enough to always try to improve. For more information, visit nfg.com. Nassau insurance products are issued by Nassau Life and Annuity Company of Hartford, Connecticut, Nassau Life Insurance Company, East Greenbush, New York, or Nassau Life Insurance Company of Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas. Subsidiaries of Nassau Financial Group. Products are not available in all areas. Policyholder counts are for all Nassau companies as of September 30th, 2022, and are subject to change.
Okay. So, do I use music in when working with clients to bring out that energy? Absolutely. I often even encourage them to bring a playlist that they really vibe to that we can use in the studio, but I also use conversation. We're talking about things, and when people see themselves on the back of the camera when we're working, that gives them the extra sense of confidence. When they see that first picture that we take, and it really, they're like, "Is that me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It it just feeds into the energy, and then they kind of take off in the session after that.
Leslie, do you have a story to share with us with any one of your clients? You don't need to name them by name if you are. You can give them a fictitious name about someone you've worked with. They came to you, they were, a little bit down, and this was like a big step for them. And through the work that you did with them, they saw some transformation and you really helped them get to where they wanted to go.
I would say this. I have a client. Her name is Jan. And Jan works in the workplace. She doesn't feel respected. She is an amazing at what she does. She fundraises. She brings in all the money, but people don't respect her. That her environment doesn't respect her. So she asked my advice as to what can she do to, and she's an older woman, but she looks very young. So I think that is another aspect of why people may not respect her in the job that she does. So I said, come in and do some brand photography photo, right? This will help boost your confidence. It will help boost your perception of how people receive you. And just be your authentic self. But let's bring the power out of you to really show what people will see that they probably don't see on your daily walks into the office, right? Your daily works with them, right? So we did the shoot, and fortunately, she came in with a purple dress, which was amazing. And I placed her behind like a green wall or something like that, just to help her out in her photos. And when she started to utilize those photos, and she did a testimonial for me that the way that it transformed how people received her, but also how it built her confidence. She can see herself in the world because she couldn't see herself as that confident and outgoing person. It really transformed her career because it went from here to not even working in that job anymore to elevation to a whole new executive space. So, yes, I watched her transform right between my eyes. And that shoot gave her the confidence on how she looked at herself through my lens. And that's what I love, helping people to find how confident they can look through the eyes of someone else. And that gives them the power and just the drive to go forward.
No, I love that. So I'm going to ask another quick question as a follow-up, and I don't mean to genderize, but I am a little bit. Do you find that more women are coming to you for kind of like what you just described in terms of maybe they don't feel respected or they're, maybe lacking some self-confidence, versus men? Again, just curious about that. And is, maybe it's just the niche that you're in, or what would you see? What do you see as even trends in
There are some men.
this space?
I have worked with some men that needed the confidence in their workplace and in their lives as well. But mostly it's 98% women. 98% women. Yeah.
See, I don't even know if you realize you said something before. As a marketer, I heard it right away. You said, "See yourself through your lens." You're a photographer. It's a great
Yeah.
tagline. Or you can work on that a little bit, but
yeah, but it's true. It's true how positioning someone and putting light on someone and helping to understand if they just put their shoulders back, just to put the body position, the body language can
well, yeah, that's
present
definitely
differently, right? And it's just teaching people like, yeah, I can walk in a room, but let me put my shoulders back, my chest out, and walk with my head high, right?
confidence.
And then if
Yeah.
you put on a pop of color, you're going to pop out, just like the young folks say. You're going to pop out in that room because they're going to say, who's that woman in that yellow dress or that yellow jacket? Versus being in blue and gray, and you have to search through. I'm trying to find Jan.
Oh,
Where's
there we go
Jan?
again on the blue
You
and
know what I mean?
gray.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying. I'm just saying. It's the
I
truth.
I hear you.
You
I hear
know.
you. I'm curious. You mentioned earlier, 50 to 60-year-olds are sort of your target market. What's the main confidence issues that they're experiencing? Obviously, everyone has, life things happen throughout life, and your brain space goes different places. What are you seeing? Is it, people fear of retirement? Is it fear of being, kind of pushed out of a job? Is it like becoming relevant? Like what are you seeing as like the key reason people are coming to you for these
I
pictures?
I feel like the key reason people are coming, one is to when they're going out into retirement, they feel like their life is over, you know? And I feel like it is just beginning, right? Your life is just beginning in that age. But guess what? You have this new sense of freedom of doing whatever you want after you retire or transitioning into entrepreneurship, which you make your own rules, you create your own space. So I think a lot of it is just feeling like the life is over. And what can I do to feel revived, a new self of identity and purpose? I think that is the main thing, self identity and finding their purpose after their careers have ended, after they've raised their children. It's like nothing to do because they've been doing it all many years of their life. So, what do I do now?
Yeah. And I know you talked about entrepreneurship. Obviously, you're an entrepreneur. And so do you find that's also part of the coaching that because I've seen you have events and I've
Hmm.
seen that you have, you create these amazing events with panelists and all kinds of like very much like exciting, exuberant people
Hmm.
that talk about, you know, the experience of being an entrepreneur and what it takes. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because it sounds like there's also a connection there in some of the individuals that you take photos of, that there's an entrepreneurial kind of coaching piece to it. And if so, what are some of the things or what's some of the advice that you give individuals who may not have been entrepreneurs before?
Um, some of the advice I give entrepreneurs that have not been entrepreneurs before is really knowing your audience. Because when we start and when we become entrepreneurs initially, we want to sell to everybody. And when you sell to everybody, you're selling to nobody. Right? You need to know who.
So I'm going to let Mary get the last question, but before we do, tell our listeners how they can best way to get in touch with you, and we'll include all the other ways in the show notes as well.
That's great, Leslie. So our final question that we ask all of our guests. So you mentioned you were a nurse, right? You can do whatever you want. I know you have a son and a husband. You talked about them, and I know I've met them. So what's your why? Why do you get up every day and choose to do this branding, coaching, photography? I love that. And I have seen your son on Facebook, and I've met him, and he's wonderful. And your husband has also. And so that's a really beautiful story. I didn't know what your story was. I had a feeling it may have gone down that road. But Leslie, we really appreciate you joining us today on Prime Life Podcast. It was such a pleasure to learn more about what you do, and we're excited for others that will be contacting you for you to help them get to where they want to be, just the way they are. So yeah, so thank you. And Joseph, as always, it's great to spend time with you. And to all of our listeners, please like us, follow us, give us feedback, and we look forward to visiting with you again on another episode of the Prime Life Podcast. Thanks so much, and everyone have a great day.
Remember to subscribe to the Prime Life Podcast anywhere you find podcasts. You can find all of our episodes, contact information, and more on our website, primelifepodcast.com. Stay connected with us. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.